Hello everyone, my name is Luana, I'm 16 years old, and today I will be talking about speed bumps and burgers. Because speed bumps and burgers are two things that slow us down on our way to our destination. And we all have some sort of destination, right? We're all going somewhere. You have a reason why you're studying. You have a reason why you came to this event, right? We all have some sort of destination, and today I will be discussing a couple of things that slow us down on our journey of achieving our goals, including speed bumps and burgers. As an example, I'll focus mostly on the challenges related to education, but the main goal of my speech is even wider, so also keep that in mind. The first challenge I wanted to talk about is, actually, try guessing it yourself. Imagine that you're lost in a dark forest. What do you do? What actions do you take? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Okay, guys, come on, be just a bit more creative. Like, you can use your phone. You have a map, you have a compass, you have all the resources you want. What do you do?
Cry.
Okay, panic. That's the first step. After you panic, what do you do?
Call for help.
Call for help. That's a good choice. Call for mama, great choice. Okay, I would personally probably open the Google Maps app on my phone, but those are all specific actions, strategies, plans. But before you start planning anything out, what do you need to do? You need to figure out where you're going, right? Maybe you weren't even lost in that forest in the first place. Maybe that's exactly where you wanted to be at that time, at that moment. So that's the first challenge in studying, not knowing your goal. Not knowing where you're trying to get to with all of this time and effort you're using. So if you figure out where you want to go, if you set yourself a vivid final picture, it will be much more easier to plan anything out. Like, for example, when I was preparing this event, I read a lot of different speeches and wanted to help speakers and made some corrections. And all of the speakers know that one of the main corrections that I made was, guys, please figure out the final point of your speech, the final message you want to get across to the audience. Like, not just general blah blah, but what is the final point, the final goal of your speech? If you figure that out, planning everything else will be much more easier. And now I'm talking not only about speeches in general, but this can be applied to any goal-achieving plan. The second challenge I wanted to talk about is burgers. Okay, burgers. Let's say we want to go shopping. After this event, we're all going shopping, as an example. But we're hungry, right? We spent 1.5 hours talking, imagine that situation, and we want to go shopping. But we're extremely hungry. So before going shopping, we need to eat something. You open the fridge and you find yourself a burger and pasta. Don't ask me what a raw package of pasta is doing in the fridge, but just as an example, burger and pasta. You can eat a burger in like 5 minutes, but cooking pasta will take around 30. So technically, there's nothing wrong with burgers. They're still a yummy, tasty food that probably all of us enjoy. But what happens if we eat only burgers? Well, from one point of view, we're not hungry anymore. Our intermediate goal of feeding ourselves is achieved. But we're not very nutritiously satisfied, right? What I'm talking about now is motivation. Extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. Let me clarify how that relates to burgers. When we decided to eat a burger, we weren't really thinking about having a good meal, right? Our desire to eat was guided by an outer force. In this case, the desire to go shopping. So basically, that's a classical example of how extrinsic motivation works. Extrinsic motivation is a reward and punishment system. So basically, the desire to do something comes from outer stimuli. In the case of the burger, that's quite vivid. But there's another classical example of extrinsic motivation, which are school grades. The same grades me and you get when we study, when we do our homework, when we pass our exams. It's basically the same reward and punishment system. Like, we perform well, we get a reward from a good grade, maybe even some additional praise. When we perform bad, we receive a punishment in the form of a bad grade. We become disappointed, and yeah, that's basically a punishment. So this system is clearly effective. Because me and you do your homework, right? It means it's effective. But there are some serious disadvantages in this system. And one of the main ones is that when we focus too much on the reward itself, the quality of the process falls. We start working only for the sake of the result and the quality falls. Like for example, when we're preparing for upcoming exams, we focus only on the topics that will appear on that exam, right? But what happened to the other topics? What happened to our childhood desire to explore the world, to get a broader understanding of the topic and the world itself? What happened? Extrinsic motivation, grades. Grades happened. That's what happened. And we should keep that in mind. Grades shouldn't be our only reason to study, because then our knowledge won't progress. We will be like in the situation with the burger where we quickly stuffed something in our mouths in order to go shopping, but we weren't really satisfied with the quality and the long-lasting effect. The type of motivation that will get us focused on the process itself is intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is not the same as extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation comes from ourselves. So extrinsic motivation is from some outer stimuli. Intrinsic motivation comes from ourselves. So the answer to the question, why do I want to do this, comes from inside us rather than from some outer stimuli. Returning to both of our examples, in the case of the burger, let's say we decided to eat in order to fill our body with energy and nutrition. Then we would have intrinsic motivation to guide us to cooking pasta. Yes, it would take more time and effort. Like cooking pasta takes a lot of 30 minutes and a lot of dishes and dishwashing, but we'd enjoy the process because we would be guided by an inner desire to eat healthier. In the case of studying, what could be our intrinsic motivation to study? Well, I can't answer that question for you because it's very individual and you need to figure it out for yourself. But in my personal case, I'll share that experience. In my personal case, my intrinsic motivation to study is I try applying all of the skills and knowledge I learned in practice. For example, after passing a course on digital marketing, I created my own online club, my own platform, my own online game club in English for non-native speakers. For me, it was an opportunity to earn money. Everyone needs pocket money, right? It was an opportunity to earn pocket money, as well as teach other children some English skills, which was also help. But most importantly, an opportunity to practice all of the skills. And that gave them meaning. Or another example, when I was studying the history and geography of South America, I wanted to make my knowledge a bit more solid, a bit less abstract. So I designed an expedition plan, or a traveling strategy if you wish. For me, it was an opportunity, to basically make my knowledge a bit more solid, to turn it into something concrete which I can actually feel. Your goal doesn't have to be extremely large. It doesn't have to be that huge. But it needs to be interesting, solid, and somehow related to real life, not just something abstract, in order for intrinsic motivation to work properly. So that's what I wanted to say about intrinsic motivation. And now, last but not least challenge. Discipline. Discipline is the quality of behaving and working in an organized way which involves being certain. I think you were bored. Was that boring? I think it was boring, right? Well, primarily because I was talking in a boring and very soft little shy voice, but probably also because I saw your faces when I was saying this, discipline. I was saying discipline and you were like, oh yeah, right, I know everything there is to know about discipline. What else can I possibly learn? But that's not true. And actually, the challenge, forget about discipline, forget about what I wanted to say about discipline. Discipline is important, but the challenge we face now is much more important. The challenge called, I know everything mindset. That is probably the biggest challenge we can possibly face when studying or trying to achieve any type of goal. Because when we have that attitude of an all-knower, we become less open to new knowledge, and therefore, less open to new opportunities. That is why it's probably the biggest challenge we can possibly face. Quick survey, how long do you think we will actually be studying? Till the end of high school, till the end of university, till we find a stable job or build a career? Let's vote. Who thinks that we will finish studying when we finish university or high school? Please, raise your hands. Okay, actually I was expecting at least a couple of people, but I absolutely agree with you guys. I don't see a lot of hands. So yeah, I absolutely agree. The world is improving and developing with incredible speed. The appearance of ChatGPT, it was mind-blowing. Artificial intelligence is constantly appearing and developing. We have much more new technologies, which requires us to adapt and gain new skills constantly. In fact, we will be learning during our whole lives. So it's our responsibility as teenagers to learn how to learn and to start enjoying the process of studying itself. That's our responsibility. But first, we need to overcome the I know everything attitude. Because if we have that attitude, we can't start doing something. We can't start studying, living, without agreeing with ourselves that we're open to learning something new, that we're open to improving, and we want to learn how to play this game called life. So we need to be open to different perspectives. When you will be listening to other speakers talk, please don't go like, oh, I know that topic. That's again the I know everything attitude. Be open to discovering something new in everything, in every different perspective. Together, let's become people, lifelong learners that are open to new perspectives, new opportunities, and knowledge. Together, let's become people with an open mindset and no prejudices. Now, I'll leave you with that thought. Please keep it in mind and enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.